The stars above New Geneva burned cold, distant, and indifferent, exactly like the Galactic Council chambers Marcus Hale now stood in. He adjusted the cuffs of his charcoal diplomat's uniform, subtly armored, impossibly crisp. The Empire had attacked a Terran protectorate less than 36 hours ago. No warning. No negotiations. No declaration. A massacre dressed up as an authorized border correction. Marcus wasn't here for pleasantries. He was here for war, diplomatic, if they were lucky. The chamber was vast, designed more to intimidate than to host dialogue. Dozens of alien species perched on their floating platforms, each wrapped in their own cultural silks, gas-reed suits, or armored shells. The Empire's delegation was late on purpose. Their arrogance didn't just speak, it screamed. Hale didn't sit. He stood at the center, hands behind his back, jaw tense. Behind him floated the banner of the Terran Accord, marked with the planetary sigils of every system Earth had sworn to protect. One of those sigils, the red sun of Carthus, had just gone dark. An aide leaned in. No response from the Empire yet. Not even an acknowledgement. Of course not, Marcus replied calmly. They want us to speak first. To beg. He wouldn't. Let silence be their mirror. A low chime echoed. Doors parted. The Imperial delegation entered, robes of burnished crimson sweeping across the polished obsidian floor. At their center was Lord Regent Tarsus, a creature bred not for peace, but for power. 8 feet tall, reptilian, eyes like obsidian knives. He moved like a man, expecting the galaxy to move out of his way. It didn't. Tarsus smiled, showing too many teeth. Apologies for our delay. We were observing a moment of silence for the losses on Carthus. Marcus didn't move. A shame you didn't observe one before you killed them. Gasps. From more than one delegation. Tarsus's smile didn't waver. Carthus was an internal matter. The colony was unlawfully expanded into imperial trade lanes. You know this. It was ratified by this council 12 cycles ago, Marcus said, voice sharp, every syllable measured. The border was agreed. The territory acknowledged. You knew exactly what you were bombing. Bombing. Tarsus feigned confusion. There was resistance. Our fleet responded. There were children. Now the room was quiet. No one dared breathe. Tarsus's smile finally slipped. That, Marcus continued, was an act of war. You signed the Concord of Sol. You swore under interstellar charter that peace would be held. Peace, Tarsus interrupted, is a convenience, not a leash. The word hung like smoke. And just like that, the veil was gone. The performance was over. The Empire wasn't here to justify itself. It was here to dare Earth to respond. Marcus stepped forward. Then allow me to make Earth's position clear, he said. We are not shackled by peace. We uphold it. We enforce it. And we are not afraid to remind the galaxy why the Empire signed that treaty in the first place. You mean your little show of force last war? Tarsus chuckled. Your clever tricks and orbital bombardments? The galaxy forgets, Ambassador. You are still young. You burn bright, yes, but brief. The Empire endures. Your empire bleeds like any other. Marcus let the silence stretch. Then he added almost softly, would you like a reminder? A stir moved through the chamber, not just from human allies, but from other delegations. The silent ones. The frightened ones. They hadn't forgotten what Earth did in the last war, what it became when pushed. The Empire had broken the peace, expecting bureaucracy, weakness, hesitation. What they got was Marcus Hale. He turned slightly, addressing the chamber at large now. Let the record show, Earth did not fire first. But we will finish this. The blood on Carthus will be answered. The peace was broken, not ended. We will restore it, one way or another. He looked back to Tarsus. This meeting is over. Without another word, he turned and walked out, cape snapping behind him. No one stopped him. Not even the Empire. Marcus Hale didn't walk into the council's secondary chamber. He cut through it. Every step echoed like a warning across polished obsidian, the silence behind him louder than any speech. He had already won the room once. Now he was here to claim the consequences. 3 hours after the failed summit with the Empire, emergency delegations were called. Not formal, not recorded, just whispers behind locked doors, held in secure quantum-secured chambers where war was often born while peace was still being buried. 12 major powers had shown. Not one of them Earth's declared allies. Not yet. At the far end sat Counselor Arlos of the Venari, a spider-thin species known for neutrality and cowardice wrapped in robes of logic. He was first to speak, naturally. You escalated tension in the Grand Chamber. You made threats in open forum. The Terran Alliance should consider restraint before actions become irreversible. Marcus sat, calm, unblinking. The Empire slaughtered a Terran protectorate. I offered words instead of weapons. That was restraint. But war benefits no one. Tell that to the children buried on Carthus. That shut the room up. Counselor Jthal, a crystalline delegate from the mining worlds, clicked his jaw. We understand your pain, Ambassador. But retaliation risks destabilizing entire trade corridors. Half our shipping lanes pass through. Marcus held up a hand. Enough. His voice was low, controlled, but every syllable landed like a hammer. You've all said it for years. Let Earth be the balance. Let Earth be the voice of stability, the sword behind peace. We did that. We held the line. We signed the Concord. And now, he stood again, slower this time, letting the weight settle. Now the Empire commits a massacre, and you urge calm. Not because you believe in peace, but because you fear what happens when Earth stops pretending it's civilized. Eyes dropped. No one challenged him. Marcus placed a data crystal on the table. It flared to life, holographic footage. Orbitals crumbling over Carthus. Screams. Civilians running. Precision strikes from Imperial dreadnoughts. No warnings. No military targets. The Empire doesn't fear you, Marcus said. They only feared us. But they thought we'd gotten soft. He tapped the final image. Imperial soldiers dragging a Carthusian governor from the rubble. Executed on camera. Sent across darknet channels as a message. This is what peace looks like when no one enforces it. There was a long silence. Then, from the far side of the table, Counselor Yinov of the Solari Confederacy leaned forward. Her voice was careful. You're not seeking justice, are you? Marcus looked at her. No. You're preparing for war. I'm preparing for history to stop repeating itself. She nodded and said nothing more. The chamber went cold. Hours later, in a private comms bay aboard Earth's embassy station, Marcus watched encrypted reports flash across the hollow grid. Naval readiness, fleet positionings, planetary evacuations on high-risk colonies. General Adrian Corr appeared on screen. Final fleet groups arriving for the outer rings, she said. No full deployments without council approval, but the other orders already in motion. Marcus exhaled. Good. You sure about this, Hale? You light this fuse, we won't be able to put the galaxy back in its box. I'm not lighting anything, he said. The Empire already did that. I'm just holding the match, so they know who's holding them accountable. Corr nodded once, then added, we've started transmitting the Carthus footage. Full spectrum. Black channels, pirate relays, rebel frequencies. Every system between here and Vescent will know what the Empire did by morning. And our message? Tagline's already viral, she said grimly. They broke the peace. We remember the cost. Marcus looked out the viewport. Earth hung like a distant jewel, quiet, unassuming. Most of the galaxy still didn't understand what Earth was. Not yet. They think we're posturing, he muttered. Corr shrugged. Let them. Posturing's what keeps the wolves from the door. No, Marcus said. What keeps the wolves out is reminding them this house has teeth. The screen went dark. He returned to the chamber one final time that night, alone. The recording drones were off. The banners had been rolled up. But the echo of earlier words still lingered like smoke in a burned cathedral. He stood where he'd stood before, where he'd warned them, where he'd challenged the Empire's lies. And then, softly, he activated a private uplink. Message to the Empire, he said. From Earth's Diplomatic Corps. No salutation. No pretense. You broke the peace. His eyes were steel now. You don't get to decide what Earth does next. We do. You started this. We will finish it. And when the dust settles, when your worlds burn with the weight of your arrogance, know that we offered you another way. He paused. And you laughed. The message was sent. And across the stars, war began to stir, not with a scream, but with a whisper. The Empire believed Earth would hesitate, that it would drown in bureaucracy, plead for sanctions, or fold under pressure like the lesser worlds had. They forgot what Earth had become after the last war. They forgot the shadows under Sol. From Mars to Europa, from the asteroid forts of Ceres to the buried arsenals on Luna, Earth's system stirred. Not in panic, but in perfect, synchronized precision. Aboard Vigilant Dawn, High Admiral Rika Thorne reviewed the final fleet manifest. Her eyes traced the names of old warships, some thought decommissioned, others only rumored to exist. Behind her, Earth's military AI, Janus, flickered into view, its presence cloaked in muted light. Task Forces Aegis, Spectre, and Dawnbringer report full readiness, Janus said. Total stealth maintained. Civilian traffic rerouted. No Imperial scans have detected mobilization. Good, Thorne said. And hail. In motion. The signal was sent. The Empire will respond with arrogance. As predicted. Thorne allowed herself a grim smile. Then let's show them what arrogance costs. She turned to the massive viewport. Outside, the Sol Defense Armada rose like a silent wave, stealthed, shielded, waiting in deep orbit. Earth wasn't declaring war. It was readying the reply. Back in the Terran embassy on New Geneva, Marcus Hale stood before a sealed command relay. A crimson-coded communique blinked once, urgent, authenticated, and grim. It was from the Outer Rim, a hidden listening post stationed beyond charted Imperial territory. Message read, Operation Echo verified. Imperial fleets massing. Preemptive doctrine assumed. No defensive posture detected. They believe we are unprepared. Marcus forwarded the message to Thorne. Then he turned, stepped into the war room, and stared at the digital map of the galaxy. Red sectors bloomed like infection. This had been the first. It would not be the last. The Empire had moved fast, too fast, which meant this had been planned far in advance. They weren't just provoking Earth. They were betting everything on Earth's restraint. And now Marcus knew, restraint was no longer a shield. It was a trap. At the edge of Imperial space, a ghost exited slipspace. UNSV Revenant, black-hulled, signal dead, invisible to every known sensor net. Commander Lien Voss whispered into her mic. Target systems confirmed. All stealth active. Begin drops. From her warship, a dozen cloaked infiltration drones deployed, each carrying a payload not of explosives, but of truth. Footage. Voice clips. Names. The Karthus massacre, unedited. The Empire's own recordings. The slaughter, the orders, the laughter of Imperial officers mocking Earth's soft-hearted diplomats. The drones streaked toward key systems, contested colonies, rebellious fringes, even major trade hubs. They didn't hit targets, they hit faith. The Empire's credibility. Within hours, thousands of beings across hundreds of worlds would see the truth. The Empire didn't keep order. It erased resistance. And Earth? Earth was the only one willing to call it out. On the dark side of Luna, deep beneath a classified facility known only as Terminus Vault, General Adrian Corr stood beside a massive display showing Earth's full military potential. Unredacted, unfiltered. Most of the galaxy believed Earth had 10 fleets. They were wrong. Corr tapped a secure console. Deploy Silent Edge protocol. Reactivate all black site assets. Her aide blinked. Even. All of them. Missile silos buried under Venusian storms. Gravity lens cannons mounted inside dead moons. Covert AI fleets drifting among asteroid belts, waiting in total stasis. The galaxy thought Earth had grown tame, civilized, slow. But Earth had never stopped building. It had just stopped showing. Kor stepped into the command deck. If the Empire thinks Earth will answer with just another speech, they're going to choke on what's coming. And in orbit above Neptune, a diplomatic transport silently rerouted course. Marcus Hale had made his choice. No more councils. No more appeasement. He would not speak again until the Empire listened with their knees on the floor. His new destination, Velis Prime, a known Imperial Aligned system. A place where Earth had no official presence, and where Marcus would deliver Earth's message face to face. Without permission, without guards. Just his voice, his fury, and the certainty that Earth had the power to reshape the stars. His aide looked nervous. "Sir, if you go there, they'll either listen," Marcus said, "or I'll make them." Outside the viewport, Sol faded behind them, but the shadow it cast across the galaxy had just begun to stretch. Admiral Vex Solari of the Imperial Fleet never saw the strike coming. One moment, the ISS Vindicator cruised through the Carthus sector, its hull gleaming with the arrogance of a victorious empire, its officers still basking in the annihilation of a Terran-aligned colony. The next, it was gone. No alarms, no warnings, just silence, a burst of light, a rupture in space, and then nothing but drifting debris. The first to respond was ISS Araleth, sister ship to the Vindicator. It approached the wreck cautiously, scanners unable to detect the attacker. But as it neared, a transmission cut through open Imperial comms. A simple, unencrypted message. "We see you." Below on Velis Prime, an Empire loyalist world, Marcus Hale stood alone in the Senate chamber. No guards, no fanfare, just a Terran diplomat and a room full of Imperial governors who had no idea why their planetary defenses had gone offline moments before he arrived. "I'd like to begin," Marcus said calmly, "by pointing out that your outer defense grid is no longer responding. If you're wondering why, your orbital stations are currently in low-power lockdown mode, courtesy of Earth's Project Go signal." Murmurs of disbelief echoed. Then anger. "You're bluffing," spat Governor Renner, his crest rising in defiance. Hale turned slightly. "Am I?" Above them, the skies dimmed as the sun-filtering shields flickered. A warning. A demonstration. Earth hadn't attacked. It had entered and switched off the lights. "I'm not here for war," Marcus continued. "But I'm also not here for negotiations. I came to deliver something else." He paused. Clarity. The governors fell silent. "You aligned with the Empire, believing Earth was soft. That we'd hide behind treaties. That our threats were empty. I'm here to assure you, our restraint was never weakness. It was mercy." From orbit, Earth's stealth corvette Arclight broadcast the footage across Velis Prime's local networks. Carthus in flames. Imperial laughter. And Hale's promise from the council chamber. "You broke the peace. We will finish it." The people watched. And they listened. Far from Velis, across 6 sectors, Earth's forces moved like phantoms. Strike Fleet Spectre disabled an entire Imperial relay chain, without a single casualty. Task Group Orion hacked the central logistics hub of the Empire's fleet supply network, redirecting millions of credits worth of rations and fuel to rebel systems before triggering a full system purge. Every move calculated, surgical, bloodless, but crippling. The Empire had expected retaliation. Instead, it got humiliation. Admiral Thorne, overseeing from Sol Command, monitored live feeds as once proud Imperial border worlds flickered offline. Communications failed. Weapon systems froze mid-charge. Dozens of captains, unsure who they were even fighting, began to withdraw rather than escalate. Thorne turned to her staff. "They wanted to test our will. Let's test their limits." On Velis Prime, panic brewed behind the scenes. Governor Renner stormed into a private chamber, comms flaring as he attempted to contact the nearest Imperial fleet. No response. His aide entered, pale. "Sir, the people are rioting. They're chanting Earth's message." Renner stared. "What message?" The aide swallowed. "You broke the peace. We remember the cost. It's all over the feeds." At that moment, Marcus Hale reappeared, calm, composed, as if he already knew what was coming. "We don't need to conquer you," he said quietly. "You'll turn on the Empire yourselves, once you see what they've cost you." And then he left. No threats. No troops. Just the sound of a dying regime being drowned out by its own people. Back on Earth, in the Hall of Nations, Marcus stood before the Terran High Council. "You didn't just strike a military target," one elder diplomat said, cautious. "You turned an entire world." "I didn't turn it," Marcus replied. "I let them see." He looked out across the dome chamber, where Earth's banner now hung alone, unapologetic. "The Empire underestimated us." "That was their first mistake." "And the second?" the elder asked. Marcus stared straight ahead. "They assumed I came here to make peace." The Empire's ships were still intact, its fleet still vast. But by the time the second week of Earth's response began, something deeper than steel had started to buckle: faith. World by world, system by system, the myth of the Empire's invincibility was eroding. And Marcus Hale wasn't finished. He wasn't deploying more fleets. He was deploying facts. In a dim, secure command hall, beneath the Terran embassy on Dareth, a trade hub within Imperial space, dozens of encrypted signals surged from Earth's black site relays. Every major system on the Empire's inner rim was now receiving carefully curated data. Audio logs of Carthusian executions, intercepted internal memos dismissing civilian casualties, surveillance footage of Imperial generals mocking Council protocols. It wasn't just propaganda. It was evidence. And Earth wasn't sending it to leaders. It was sending it to citizens. Marcus stood before the digital war map, arms folded, as AI operators guided the campaign across a dozen time zones. No weapons fired. No blood spilled. But revolts were already breaking out across 4 sectors. The Empire had ruled with fear. Marcus knew exactly how to break that spell, by showing people the price they'd been paying to remain loyal. "They expect bombs," he muttered. "Give them betrayal instead." On the world of Senth, a core supplier of Imperial naval parts, workers walked off their assembly lines in protest. By noon, riots. By evening, the planetary governor defected, live streaming a recorded call where an Imperial admiral described Earth's colonies as expendable wild dogs. That night, Earth slipped humanitarian aid and network access to Senth through a stealth drone. It never asked for allegiance. It only offered dignity. Elsewhere, in the Senate halls of Alvex Prime, an emergency vote was called. The planet had never broken from the Empire in 400 years. But when Earth's data streams revealed that the recent famine on Alvex wasn't due to supply shortages, but deliberate redirection of resources to support military expansions, their trust shattered. Earth didn't even need to send a diplomat. Their own senators tore down the Imperial banner. Back at Terran Command, General Adrian Corr reviewed the shift in loyalties with quiet satisfaction. "This is a war without fleets," she said. Marcus appeared via holo. "Not quite. We've just replaced carriers with conscience." Corr nodded. "The Empire's scrambling, threatening worlds to stay in line, promising punishment." "Let them," Marcus replied. "Fear only works if people believe you still hold the leash." On the outer edge of the galaxy, at the once mighty Imperial naval base Drenthal, a quiet coup unfolded. Captain Yaris, a veteran of 3 campaigns, stood before his officers with a simple question. "Do you believe what they did to Carthus was justified?" No one answered. So he powered down the base's shields and sent a single message to Earth: "We were wrong. Permission to defect." They didn't ask for terms. They asked for forgiveness. The Imperial High Throne convened in emergency session. Panic hummed through their golden chamber as world after world blinked red on their command map, not because of attacks, but because they had stopped listening. "Earth's not even invading," one noble shouted. "They're talking, and our empire is bleeding." "They're not talking," the Emperor corrected coldly. "They're exposing." Later that day, Marcus Hale returned to the council chambers on New Geneva. He walked in without an entourage, without guards, without apology. The same Empire-aligned delegates who dismissed him weeks ago now watched him with unease, some with shame. He placed a single data crystal on the table. This contains evidence of every imperial violation since the Carthus massacre. 52 systems. Thousands dead. Hundreds of falsified reports. Signed orders. All authenticated. He looked around the chamber. I'm not asking you to choose Earth. I'm asking you to choose truth. No one moved. So Marcus said what no one else dared. The Empire is not falling because Earth attacked. It is falling because Earth stopped pretending they were worth fearing. He left the chamber in silence. Behind him, the galaxy was already on fire, with ideas, with fury, with clarity. Earth hadn't just broken the rules of warfare. It had rewritten them. They wanted submission. Earth offered terms. The Empire sued for peace on a secure frequency routed through 5 untraceable relays. The message was short. We are prepared to discuss conditional surrender. Marcus Hale didn't smile. He didn't even blink. He simply nodded once and said, then they'll receive conditional peace. The war hadn't ended with a fleet engagement or a last-stand bombardment. There were no burning capitals, no heroic last charges. Just silence, one system at a time, until the Empire finally understood. Earth didn't need to win the war. It only needed the Empire to realize it already lost. Now aboard a neutral vessel, hovering in orbit above the once proud imperial seat of Hecrones, Marcus Hale walked into the final chamber. Not with soldiers, but with words sharper than any blade. Across from him sat the Emperor, not on a throne, but in a chair flanked by the remnants of his command. His robe was still regal, but the weight of empire no longer sat easily on his shoulders. Marcus placed a simple datapad between them. These are Earth's terms. No preamble, no flattery, just the conclusion of a mistake the Empire had made the moment it believed humanity could be bullied. The Emperor glanced at the datapad. You didn't ask for territory. No demands for tribute. Not even reparations. Marcus shook his head. We didn't come here to conquer. We came to correct. And if we reject them? Marcus leaned in. Then you'll watch your own vassals finish what Earth started. And we'll do nothing but broadcast it live. The Emperor swallowed hard, because he knew Marcus wasn't bluffing. The new treaty, called the Accords of Carthus, was ratified across 7 galactic sectors in less than 30 hours. Its language was precise, neither vengeful nor forgiving. Every war crime exposed would be prosecuted by a newly formed interstellar tribunal, backed not by Earth alone, but by the worlds the Empire had abused and abandoned. Independent systems were granted sovereignty. Trade routes were rerouted under shared governance. And Earth? Earth took no seats of power. Only one clause. Any breach of peace by any power will be answered. Swiftly. Irrevocably. No empire. No expansion. Just a quiet, universal understanding. Earth had returned as the peacekeeper, and this time it would not ask nicely. Across the galaxy, images flashed like holy symbols. The Terran banner raised on liberated worlds, not in victory, but in silence. Marcus Hale standing alone before the Emperor, datapad in hand. Fleet Arclight hovering over a disarmed dreadnought, unmoving, untouched. Its presence louder than weapons ever could be. On Velis Prime, statues of imperial conquerors were torn down, replaced by a single inscription carved in stone. They broke the peace. Earth remembered the cost. Back on Earth, the High Council chamber was quiet as Marcus finally returned. A full circle, 6 weeks after Carthus, a lifetime's worth of consequence. You did what no army could, one elder diplomat said softly. Marcus nodded. They wanted fear. We gave them memory. And now, he looked up out the great glass dome, where Sol burned with that familiar, quiet fury. Now they remember who we are. That night, a private message pinged on Marcus's console, from the surviving empress of a minor annex system, long silenced under imperial rule. 3 words only. We are free. Marcus stared at the screen, then leaned back in his chair, and finally allowed himself to breathe. Earth hadn't just ended a war. It had rewritten the rules of peace, and left the stars with one lasting truth. You don't break the peace with Earth. You survive it, if you're lucky.